Hi business creators, it's Claire from Claire Wright, and today we're going to be talking about how you can organize your receipts. Now bookkeeping and receipts go hand in hand, and bookkeeping, well, accurate, reliable and auditable bookkeeping anyway, relies on accurate record keeping, which includes receipts for everything that you purchase. And receipts themselves are only truly useful when we do something with them, when we organize them in a way that tells us a useful story about our business. So let's look at how you can organize those receipts. So when it comes to organizing receipts, I'm going to say this, there is not a one-size-fits-all method that you can implement today. But there are a few decisions you can make to organize your receipts, make it suitable for your business. And remember, if you keep it as simple as possible, it is more likely to get done. And the best system is the one you actually use. So the first part of this is kind of that discover that we talked about last week and figuring out what we actually have to deal with. So it's really useful to spend a few minutes thinking about the types of receipts that come in, when they come in and where they come in. So when I'm talking about types, you've got your physical receipts, the paper copies, you've got digital receipts, often they can be attached to emails or can actually just be in the email body themselves, and you can have downloadable receipts where you have to go onto a portal from a supplier and download the actual receipt or click a link and go and get that receipt. When they come in, yes, every time you make a purchase, but also it's worth noting that you may have regular receipts for things like monthly subscriptions, annual subscriptions, that sort of thing. So if you note that down, it's going to be much easier to pick those up. And also, where do you get the receipts? So, at the shops, at the petrol station, do you get them in one email account or do you use multiple email accounts? So where are the regular places that you get them? Are you often in the car? Are you often online? Yeah, I think we're mostly often online. So that's when we figure out what we need to organize. Then we have to decide how we're going to organize them. And this is kind of the method and also the place as well. So we are going to need to store receipts. So we need a how and a where. And I will say it's best to store everything in one place. Try not to apply one rule for digital receipts and another rule for physical receipts. We don't want everything in one email address except the paper ones and they're in a shoebox. That's like splitting your energy, splitting your focus, and it's not going to make it easy for you if you do want to go back and revisit those receipts. I'll also say it's useful to have things in a place that is accessible regardless of location. So you don't need to be at home to be able to access those receipts. You don't need to give something to your tax accountant for them to be able to see your receipts. So what are the options, Claire? Well, firstly, there's the physical option. That's keeping the physical receipts and printing out the digital receipts. And this kind of is a bit 19th century, 20th century. This does seem like the easiest option. Just print everything out and put it in a folder, but it's probably the riskiest option because receipts fade, papers get lost and destroyed, and they can't be accessed unless you have the shoebox or the files, and they aren't linked to your bookkeeping. I would also say there's actually a lot of work in printing these out and filing them and storing them and checking them, and it is the worst for the environment because there's a lot of printing. You're going to consume a lot of paper printing out receipts that you have digitally. The second option you can choose is to store them by email. So simply keeping an email folder and then popping all the emailed receipts you get into that folder and then emailing yourself copies of the physical ones and the downloaded ones. Now, this is less risky than paper. It is really simpler to implement because your receipts won't fade, they won't get lost, presuming you manage your emails well. But still, they can't be accessed unless you have that particular logon for that particular email account, and again they aren't linked to your bookkeeping. So if you want to be sharing your email password and username with your accountant, then this might be an option you're willing to consider, but it's not one I'm willing to consider. You can also store them by digital file, so keeping a folder on your cloud storage. Please don't just use your computer because they do need to be backed up. And then you upload those physical ones, copies of them, to that digital folder, and you upload copies of the emailed ones to that folder. So you're putting them all into a folder. You can put in a file naming convention to make them chronological or by supplier, whatever makes more sense to you. The fourth option then is uploading them to your bookkeeping software. So we digitize all receipts and we link them to transactions. Now, if you ever want to or need to go back to a particular receipt on a particular date to see what was purchased, say you have an audit or you just want to see where your money went, then this really is the best option. And when I see this coming to its own, really, is when you shop regularly at the same place, say like weekly petrol station, or you spend too much at the office supply store, you'd have to go through a lot of receipts to find that particular one, or you'd have to go through the folders to find that particular one. But if it's linked to your transaction, you can immediately see what was purchased on that day. If your accountant has access to your bookkeeping software, they are accessible to those as well. So it's really connected and connected. So it's connected in people, accessibility, and it's connected in transactions. The last option is those specialist receipt storage services, platforms that you see. And I would say if this is free with the bookkeeping platform, then go ahead, dive in and use it as an extension of that bookkeeping functionality. But otherwise, you would really need to be processing a large volume of receipts to make the functionality worth the cost, because they are quite expensive in terms of what they are actually doing for you. If you are paying for a bookkeeping software, the linking them to transactions and storing them in your bookkeeping software generally comes with your subscription. So a couple of other things you may need to consider is that you need to keep those receipts safe and secure for 5 years after submitting your tax return. And by safe and secure, we also need to make sure they are backed up, even if we're putting them into our bookkeeping software or cloud storage, because there's no guarantees with them. Secondly, and this is one I see happen for a few people, if you get receipts in duplicate, this can really mess up your bookkeeping. So let's say you get a paper copy and you ask that store, that supplier, to email you a copy as well, a digital receipt. You need to ensure that you're not uploading both of those receipts. So I would suggest if this does happen, pick one source that you will use consistently. So I'm always going to use the paper copy, or I'm always going to use the digital copy, and then just apply that so you're not potentially duplicating, because sometimes also they have the different references on them, so it's not immediately obvious if you have a lot of them uploaded to your bookkeeping software or cloud storage. And sometimes they have different dates as well, because the date it goes through your bank when you link it into bookkeeping can be different to the date on the actual receipt. So there's a lot in that one, so just be careful if you do get duplicates. So although storing them in your email, as I said, is free, it's really not that effective. And with my bookkeeper hat on, I would say upload them to your bookkeeping platform. That is really useful. It's in one place. It's linked to your transactions. You know what you have processed. And with my business owner hat on, I would say use cloud storage to back those up, so you do have that 2 copies that you need. Now, the last thing you need to organize your receipts is time, because you could implement every system in the world, but you actually need time to use that system, to create the habit, to get into the routine of putting your receipts into whatever place you choose. If you are digitizing them, you need time to do that. If you are using the physical version, you need time to print them out. And if you're using the software bookkeeping platform version, you need time to match them with your bookkeeping data. So we need a system, we need to use it, and we need to allow time to set that system up and to use that system. Then to really honor the value of receipts, and yes, I said honor the value of receipts, you need to make your bookkeeping effective, because you need to use the outputs of that data to create information that will help your business. This is when your receipts start to tell a story. And as a side bonus from making your receipts organized, making your receipts tell a story, will be a stress-free end of financial year, because it's all sorted way before the tax deadline. So they're going to use this information, you're going to assess your business expenses. Are they worthwhile? You're going to review your efforts. Are they effective? And you're going to potentially see where you can make more money and more profit, or just help clients more as well. To do all of that, you're going to need, you guessed it, an effective bookkeeping system. You're also going to need an effective cash management system, habits, accountability to make sure those tasks get done, and probably some support and learning along the way to answer those tricky finance questions. So if you would like my support to finally organize those receipts and make your bookkeeping and finances useful for your business, then get in touch for a no obligation chat. I'd love to learn more about people's businesses and the challenges they face, and then we can see if I could help you with those challenges. If this video has been useful, I would love you to give it a thumbs up or comment and let me know how you're going to organize your receipts. And as I said, if you need more help, get in touch about making business finances quicker, easier, and actually work for your business.